Have you ever stood on a shoreline and tried to stop a wave with your hands? You can't. The ocean is too vast, too powerful. It moves with a force that seems beyond our comprehension. We often feel that way about time, don't we? That it's a vast, relentless ocean, and we are just standing on the shore, watching the years roll in and out. We make grand 5-year plans. We dream of distant futures of someday. We look at the sweep of a lifetime and feel small, but what if I told you that the entire ocean is made of single drops, and that a lifetime is made of single days, not a year, not a month, your next 24 hours, this day that is given to you? This one precious rotation of the earth, it is not a waiting room, it is not an intermission, it is the main stage. Think about the architecture of a life. It is not built with the cranes and steel beams of decade-long ambitions. It is built brick by brick, the book you read for 20 minutes today, the kindness you offer to a stranger this afternoon, the one small, difficult conversation you choose to have this evening, the 5 minutes you spend truly listening to someone without looking at your phone. The single healthy meal you prepare for yourself. These are the bricks. They seem insignificant on their own, but lay one brick with intention today, and then another tomorrow, and in a year you will have built a wall. In 5 years, you will have built a room. In a decade, you will stand inside the structure of a life you consciously created. The world will try to steal your next 24 hours. It will fragment it into 1,000 notifications, a dozen obligations, a low hum of anxiety about things you cannot control. It will whisper that what you do today doesn't matter in the grand scheme. The most profound and enduring structures of human existence are never erected in a single, frantic, and overwhelming effort. Consider the great cathedrals whose spires pierce the clouds not because of one monumental act of will, but because of the relentless daily dedication of countless hands, each laying a single stone upon the one placed the day before. Our lives are built with this same patient, granular consistency. The grand, sweeping ambitions we harbor, the 5-year plans, the visions of a different self, can feel so immense that they become paralyzing. The chasm between where we stand and where we wish to be seems too vast to cross, and so we often do not take the first step, daunted by the sheer scale of the journey. This is where the true power of the brick by brick principle reveals itself. It is an antidote to the inertia of ambition. It dismantles the monolithic and intimidating project of changing your life, and replaces it with the manageable, immediate task of investing your next 24 hours. What, then, constitutes a brick? It is any small, deliberate action that is aligned with the person you aspire to become. It is not the declaration that you will write a novel. It is the act of writing 300 words before you check your email in the morning. It is not the vow to become a completely different person. It is the choice to respond with patience in a single moment of frustration. It is not the dream of perfect health. It is the decision to take a walk, to drink a glass of water, to choose a nourishing meal over an empty one. These actions in isolation seem almost laughably insignificant. They feel like a whisper in a hurricane. We are conditioned to believe that only seismic shifts, the new job, the dramatic transformation, the sudden windfall, truly matter. But these are the earthquakes of life. They are rare, often disruptive, and their foundations are shaky. The life built brick by brick, in contrast, rests on a foundation of profound stability. The cumulative effect of this daily masonry is where the magic resides. One brick of a difficult conversation does not make you courageous, but a year of laying such bricks builds a fortress of self-respect. One brick of reading for 20 minutes does not make you a scholar, but 1,000 such bricks construct a library of knowledge within your mind. The compound interest of small, consistent investments in yourself yields a wealth of character and competence that no single, dramatic windfall can ever provide. This process is inherently forgiving. It acknowledges that some days the best you can do is lay a single, small, imperfect brick, and that is enough. The structure still rises. It does not demand heroism every single day. It merely asks for conscious participation. It transfers the locus of control from the external and unpredictable long term to the internal and manageable present. You cannot control what opportunities will arrive in 5 years, but you can absolutely control what you do with the next hour. Furthermore, this principle exposes the illusion of the grand scheme. The grand scheme is a phantom that robs us of our present power by fixating our gaze on a distant, hazy horizon. It whispers that today's efforts are too small to matter in the vast tapestry of a lifetime. But the brick-by-brick philosophy understands that the tapestry itself is woven with single threads. There is no grand scheme separate from the accumulation of your days. The life you are living right now is not a rehearsal for some future performance. It is the performance itself, and each day is a scene, each brick a line of dialogue that defines your character. By focusing on the quality and intention behind the next brick you lay, you cease to be a passive spectator waiting for your life to begin. You become the active architect, the master builder, knowing with quiet certainty that the wall you build today, however small, is an integral and essential part of the sanctuary you are creating for your own spirit. We so often fall into the trap of believing that our lives are defined by the grand, sweeping narratives. The career we build over decades, the long-term relationships we nurture, the legacy we leave behind. And while these overarching stories give our existence a sense of continuity and meaning, they are also dangerously abstract. They exist in the realm of memory and anticipation, two territories where we have very little direct agency. We cannot reach back and alter a memory. We cannot reach forward and secure a future promise. This fixation on the distant horizon creates a peculiar form of psychological paralysis. The goal seems so far away, the path so long and fraught with potential failure, that the sheer scale of the endeavor makes the first step feel insignificant, even pointless. We tell ourselves we will start tomorrow, next week, when conditions are perfect, when we feel more ready, perpetuating a cycle of delay where someday never actually arrives. This is why the next 24 hours are not merely a suggestion, but your true and most vital arena. This single day is the only unit of time that is truly, undeniably real. You can hold it in your hands, you can feel its texture. The past is a ghost, the future a dream, but today is a solid block of time you can inhabit fully. It is the fundamental granular element from which a lifetime is composed. By shifting your focus from the intimidating, abstract landscape of your entire future to the manageable, tangible reality of the next sunrise to the next, you reclaim an immense power. You are not being asked to solve your entire life today. You are only being asked to live this day with intention. This is a profoundly liberating concept. The pressure of the 5-year plan evaporates, replaced by the simple, potent question, what can I do today to move one step closer to the person I wish to become? This reframes ambition from a burdensome weight into a daily practice. It transforms the monumental into the possible. The world, however, is structured to steal this focus. It bombards us with anxieties about events years from now, and distractions that fragment our attention into 1,000 useless pieces. The constant ping of notifications, the endless scroll of news, the low, great hum of worry about things entirely outside our control. All of it conspires to pull us out of the present moment. It scatters our energy and leaves us feeling drained and passive, as if we are spectators in our own lives. To declare that the next 24 hours matter is an act of quiet rebellion against this fragmentation. It is a conscious decision to draw a boundary around this day and protect it. It means choosing to be present in the conversation you are having right now, rather than mentally rehearsing one you will have tomorrow. It means fully immersing yourself in the task before you, giving it the gift of your undivided attention, and in doing so, finding a depth of engagement that is otherwise impossible. When you begin to treat each day as a self-contained arena, you start to see its immense potential for micro-transformation. This day is a blank canvas, a fresh chapter, a rehearsal stage where you can practice the values you hold dear. Did you fail to be as patient as you wanted to be yesterday? That narrative is over. Today, you have a new opportunity to exercise patience in a single moment. Did you feel unproductive last week? That week is gone. Today, you have the chance to complete one meaningful task. This perspective does not ignore the past or the future. It simply puts them in their proper place. The past becomes a library of lessons learned, not a prison. The future becomes a direction to move toward, not a source of anxiety. Your power, your agency, your ability to effect real and lasting change resides nowhere else, but in the deliberate and conscious use of the next 24 hours. This day is your life in miniature. How you live it is how you are, in fact, choosing to live. The modern world operates on a principle of relentless fragmentation. It is an environment meticulously engineered to capture and splinter your attention, to scatter your focus across a dozen different platforms, 100 different worries, and 1,000 different demands before you have even finished your first cup of coffee. This is not an accident. It is the fundamental architecture of the digital age, where your attention is the most valuable commodity, bought and sold in a market you never agreed to participate in. Your next 24 hours are the prize in this silent, invisible war. The battle is not for your money or your explicit loyalty, but for your moments, the quiet spaces between tasks, the focus you give to a loved one, the mental energy required to do deep, meaningful work. Every notification, every email alert, every trending topic is a skirmish in this conflict. Each one a tiny thief attempting to pilfer a piece of your present experience. This constant state of fractured attention creates a low, pervasive hum of anxiety that becomes the background noise of our lives. It is the feeling of being perpetually busy yet never truly productive, of being constantly connected yet profoundly isolated. We skim articles instead of reading books. We have simultaneous text conversations while watching a show, and we mistake being informed by headlines for being truly knowledgeable. This fragmentation makes it nearly impossible to be present. When you are worrying about a work deadline while playing with your child, you are not truly doing either. You are inhabiting a liminal space of guilt and distraction, and in the process, you are sacrificing the potential richness of both experiences. Your next 24 hours are drained of their depth, reduced to a checklist of shallow interactions and half-completed tasks. The world whispers that this is efficiency, but it is the opposite. It is a tax on your cognitive resources that leaves you mentally bankrupt by day's end. To declare that your next 24 hours matter is therefore an act of conscious rebellion. It is a deliberate and willful pushback against this engineered fragmentation. It begins with the radical act of reclamation. This means drawing a boundary around your attention as if it were a sacred space, because it is. It involves making active choices to silence the endless pings and alerts that fracture your concentration. It means scheduling time not just for meetings, but for uninterrupted thought, for a walk without a phone, for a conversation where you look someone in the eye and truly listen. This is not about rejecting technology, but about mastering your use of it, rather than allowing it to master you. It is the decision to be the curator of your own experience, to filter out the noise so you can finally hear the signal of your own life. This reclamation of focus is what allows the brick-by-brick construction of a meaningful life to occur. You cannot lay a brick with intention if your mind is in 10 different places at once. The quality of your attention directly determines the quality of your action. A task done with full focus for 20 minutes is often more valuable and creatively satisfying than the same task done with fractured attention over 2 hours. When you protect your next 24 hours from being stolen, you are not just preserving time. You are preserving the quality of your consciousness within that time. You are creating the mental conditions necessary for depth, for insight, for patience, and for genuine connection. You are moving from being a passive recipient of whatever the world throws at you to becoming the active author of your day, choosing with purpose what deserves your most precious resource, your fully engaged and undivided attention. We are often taught to romanticize the beginning. The first step on a new path is celebrated, seen as a moment of courageous departure, a decisive break from the old. And while there is undeniable power in that initial choice, it is a fleeting power. A journey of 1,000 miles may begin with a single step, but it is utterly undone if no second step follows. The true measure of progress, the very engine of transformation, is not found in the dramatic inaugural leap, but in the relentless, often unglamorous, commitment to the next step. Always the next one. This is the core of the principle. The first step is a declaration made in a moment of inspiration. The next step is a commitment made in a moment of choice, often when the inspiration has faded and the novelty has worn thin. It is in these subsequent steps that character is forged and the path is truly carved. This focus on the next step is a profound antidote to the paralysis of perfectionism and the weight of the distant future. When we fixate on the final destination, the published book, the ideal body, the mastered skill, the sheer distance can be overwhelming. We see the entire mountain we must climb, and our legs feel weak before we have even begun. The path seems too steep, the obstacles too numerous. But if we narrow our vision to the immediate next step, the challenge becomes manageable. We are not asked to scale the cliff face. We are only asked to find a secure place to put our foot right now. This step right here is one we can almost always take. It is the step of writing one paragraph when the book feels impossible. It is the step of choosing a healthy meal when the goal of losing 50 pounds feels abstract. It is the step of practicing a scale for 5 minutes when the dream of playing a concerto seems like a fantasy. By breaking down the monumental into a series of next steps, we make the impossible possible. Furthermore, this philosophy inherently builds resilience. A journey is never a straight line. There will be missteps, stumbles, and days when we feel we have lost our way. If our entire sense of progress is tied to the forward momentum of the first step, a single setback can feel like a catastrophic failure, invalidating the entire endeavor. But when our commitment is to the next step, we grant ourselves the grace to course correct. A stumble is not the end of the journey. It is simply a moment that requires a new next step, perhaps a step of rest, a step of reassessment, or a step of simply getting back on the path. This mindset transforms failure from a permanent state into a temporary condition. It acknowledges that the path is not always clear, but our ability to choose the next forward motion remains. The journey becomes less about never falling and more about always getting up, about always finding the next piece of ground to move toward. This relentless focus on the immediate next action also roots us firmly in the present, the only place where our agency truly exists. We cannot act in the past, we can only learn from it. We cannot act in the future, we can only plan for it. All action, all real change happens in the eternal now. The next step is always a present, tense command. It is the answer to the only question that ever truly matters: what can I do now? This question, asked consistently throughout the day, throughout a lifetime, is what forges a destiny. It is the quiet, persistent engine that drives us forward long after the initial burst of enthusiasm has passed. It is the discipline that replaces motivation. The first step may be taken on a wave of emotion, but the 10,000th step is taken on the solid ground of habit, character, and a deep, unwavering commitment to the simple, powerful act of moving forward, one deliberate, conscious step at a time. We so often speak of time as a river, a relentless current carrying us forward, but this metaphor is passive. It casts us as flotsam, drifting on a predestined course. A more truthful and ultimately more empowering image is to see each new day as an empty vessel, a cup handed to you each morning upon waking. It is neutral, void of inherent meaning, waiting only for you to decide what it will contain. This is the profound responsibility and the breathtaking opportunity of your next 24 hours. You are not merely a passenger in this day, you are its alchemist. The quality of your life will not be determined by the abstract concept of a good life, but by the cumulative substance of all the days you have been given, one cup at a time. This perspective immediately dismantles the notion of an ordinary day. There is no such thing. To label a day as ordinary or mundane is to preemptively pour the waters of apathy and routine into your own cup, to choose emptiness before you have even begun. The reality is that each day is a pristine container for potential. It can hold bitterness or sweetness, creation or stagnation, connection or isolation. The choice of what to pour into it is yours, and it is the most significant choice you will make today. Will you fill it with the stale water of yesterday's grievances, or with the fresh spring of a new perspective? Will you add the bitter herbs of anxiety about a future you cannot control, or the honey of a single present moment joy? This is not a metaphorical exercise in positive thinking. It is a practical directive for living. You must consciously select the ingredients. So what are the elements worthy of this vessel? They are the active, intentional choices that align with your deepest values. The cup is filled not by your wishes, but by your actions, one deliberate act of courage, such as having a difficult conversation you have been avoiding, is a potent, clarifying elixir poured into the day. A moment of true presence, where you listen to a friend without composing your response, is a deep draught of connection. A single decision that mirrors the person you wish to become, like choosing integrity over convenience, is a rich, fortifying wine. Even the smallest positive action, a word of encouragement, a few minutes of focused work, a breath taken consciously, is a drop that changes the composition of the whole. Conversely, every moment of mindless scrolling, every hour spent in resentment, every compromise of your core values is a poison you actively choose to add. The power of this cup, philosophy, is that it makes the abstract tangible. You cannot hold a meaningful life in your hands, but you can hold this day. You can assess it. You can feel its weight. At any moment, you can ask yourself, what is in my cup right now, and what is the next right thing I can pour into it? This question brings you back to agency. It does not matter what was in yesterday's cup. It has been emptied. It does not yet matter what will be in tomorrow's. It has not yet been given. Your sovereignty exists only over the vessel you hold now. The ultimate work is to approach each day not as a series of things that happen to you, but as a space you are responsible for filling. When you finally lay your head down at night, the cup is set aside, its contents now a permanent part of your history. The only question that remains is whether you will recognize the new empty one that awaits you in the morning, and begin again the sacred work of filling it with